For one last time, welcome back. One last game to do. I'm still joined by Jamada and Trouble. This time for Kova versus Tricked. Two teams at very different points in the standings.
Yes, definitely indeed. Kova at the bottom, Tricked at the top of their groups respectively. And yeah, it's a bit of a shame when we think about Kova because I feel like amongst us, pretty big Kova fans. We actually like the way that Kova plays sometimes. I think especially some of the champion picks. Obviously, we talk a lot about Outlandish, but, you know, even simply Tatui, Snurmy, like everyone, you can kind of mention everyone in one way or another.
Yeah.
But they've not been able to pull through with many convincing wins. Whereas Tricked on the opposite side, I think such is tradition. Tricked have just looked really strong throughout. So yeah, coming into this one, it's definitely going to be a bit of a hard one for Kova. They're on red side, so I wonder if we're maybe going to see another Zach pick. Because, I mean, Outlandish on Zach, he does tend to make the games at least very exciting.
Trouble, your thoughts?
I'll agree. I did like the Zach. I'm happy Outlandish pulled it out. It looked promising in the early game. I think the problem for Kova is their decision making from mid to late, what their composition does, how they want to execute it. I think this is where most teams sort of like get lost, especially in the meta that is this wide open. You can play so many different styles, but I find them individually to be very strong, especially the jungle support duo from the side of Kova can do a lot of magic.
A lot of AD brawlers banned out by Tricked here in the first round, where it's definitely much more of an enchanter focus, plus now that Lee Sin for Kova. And see what Tricked want to first pick. Gwen's up. Is that something you go to us? Akali's up. That's the other one.
All right.
Okay.
Well, Tricked don't care. Lucian is the priority. Right. So a lot of interesting things to come out of that. I would expect Kova to lock in the Akali. However, I am thinking about some of the other picks, you know, the Rumble, which is really nice to take away when you're dealing with, you know, Lucian. Lucian Rumble is a very strong pairing that is very frustrating to deal with. Nocturne is also up too. Wow. Then there's also the Ezreal to think about. So plenty of options realistically for Kova. They're at least going to lock in the Nocturne. And I think once you've got Nocturne, you're kind of geared to most likely be going in. So I'm looking at more aggressive diving options from here on out.
Well, Rumble's up, Diana's up. Both seem to work pretty well with that. See whether they want to block in the jungler right now, or whether they want to save that for a moment or two. Nocturne, though, as you said, is all about that diving, generally speaking.
I think I'd like to see the Akali here. I think it works really well with the Nocturne. And locking in the Viego, you need some AP, most likely in the mid lane, or maybe in the jungle. Maybe Outlandish wants to pull the Diana here because it looks really good in the jungle. Does he want to take the Viego in the jungle then? I'm not sure if this is a very overthinking Jamada or if his internet has gone off. I'm gonna assume his internet has gone off.
Yeah,
that's
a beautiful
not overthinking it. Maybe he's overthinking it, but I really like the fact that Tricked are going to pick the Rumble here. We mentioned how, especially with the Lucian, it's extremely strong. They have a lot of skirmish potential. But again, I'm seeing on the other side, Nocturne, the Viego, a potential Diana coming in for the jungle. It's looking really, really strong from both sides.
Absolutely, yeah. Jamada, I think he's back. He's no longer got that beautiful freeze frame.
He's no longer thinking.
I'm here. I don't think I'm dead. I'm back from the ether. Just took a quick trip. Don't mind me. Yeah. So Rumble, the response, like I sort of spoke about on the Kova side of things, an option they could have taken, but they give it over to Tricked, and now they've also locked in that Thresh. So I looked at Kova and say, okay, do you want to try and take away some lockdown options? Do you want to secure the Akali, which is still somehow up to R3?
Yeah.
Is it something that simply even plays at this point? Because when I see Viego on Kova, it typically goes into Outlandish's hands. So what are the options exactly going to be here? Do you want to stay on form with the dive? Do you want to pick up something like Norless maybe because the Thresh is there? Plenty of options. We finally get our answer. It's going to be Akali.
Now into the second phase of bans. Akali can follow up on the Nocturne just fine, but I'm noticing like Gwen's got all the way through the picks and bans at this point, still pretty strong. There's lots to work with right now. And kind of curious, Trouble, where you're expecting kind of both drafts to go at this point.
Honestly, I'm looking for the Volksness, something like the Tristana, the Jinx, the Aphelios, the Varus. There's literally 4 very potent S tier ADCs that he can choose right now. Well, the Aphelios is not an S tier, but he's out there, especially when you pair him up with the Thresh, a very easy escape as well. My eyes do fall on the Varus. He pairs up really well with the Rumble as well, with the long range poke, especially when the Equalizer goes down. Chain of Corruption, extremely strong when you've got 3 heavy dive melee champions coming at you. So that would be my That would be my thought process on the left side for Trick. And as for Kova, I would try to potentially play with something like an Ezreal and get Tiara on a facilitating support that can roam the map and get these 3 melees ahead.
Right, you heard it there from Trouble. I think that's probably a fairly wise call. Got a couple bans now just coming through. It seems like Trick to focusing more towards those engaged supports you called about that can roam around. And on the other side, Tristana's gone, the Wukong is gone as well.
Yeah, I think pretty smart bans from Kova. I think the Tristana ban sort of telegraphs a potential Kai'Sa lock for Kova. So I wonder if Trick will really care about it. When you've got the Thresh, and if you see a Kai'Sa lock in, you just go with Aphelios and life just gets tough. Varus, the exact same thing. So I wonder if Trick's just going to remove away another engage option like the Leona, or if they're reading into that Tristana ban, it looks like they're going to just remove away the Leona. They don't necessarily care about Kai'Sa being locked in, just sort of on form with the dive. And, you know, most of the engage supports, they're gone, right? So what will be the option here for Kova? Locking in.
I got it, Jamada.
Yeah.
I got it. It's Tiara. It has to be the Galio.
I was going to say that.
Would be great.
But the issue
dives
is...
in, Viego dives in, Nocturne dives in. Galio will have a pretty good time.
Yeah, it's just that the issue is, in lane, it's going to suck because you're lane versus Thresh. So is it really going to come out? I think at this point, I'm looking more towards the Rakan, I think would be the strongest option. Now they have the Varus too. There's not a whole bunch of like great hard lockdown for that Rakan. So I'm looking at that as probably the primary thing for Tiara to lock in here. As far as tricks go, loads of options. They're actually going to go for the Ezreal themselves, despite having the Thresh. They just want the double sort of safety net of having both champions into this much dive. And that speaks to me that they're likely to lock in a strong side top laner, and they probably look to play towards both their solo lanes here. I don't think when you've got fresh Ezreal into what is likely going to be a Varus lane with something potentially aggressive or engaging, you're going to play around it too well.
Gragas would not be a strong side top laner, but it's what's being hovered right now, but we always know what to say about hovers, but either way, it's still locked in, so sitting against a little bit what we were expecting there, unless, of course, for some mad reason we get AP Gragas mid and Lucian top, which would be fun, but unlikely. We've got one last pick for
I mean, you're most
Kova.
likely going to get AP Gragas, but he's going to be top lane.
True enough. Looking like potentially a Seraphine here, which wouldn't necessarily be the roaming support that Trouble was looking for, but they're going to lock it in anyway. I suppose the
Jamada, we have the same face.
All
we
right,
just made the
Adelaide.
same face back to back.
I need you to pull it together. There's a lot of like quizzical faces going on, but try and break it down for me anyway.
I think it's actually possible. I think when you're dealing with an Ezreal lane, there's a lot less kill threat, even if the Thresh is there. Typically, you would try to avoid the hook lanes and stuff like Seraphine, Karma, etc. But you've got Ezreal as the AD carry on the other side, and you've got a Varus, so you're probably not too threatened by it. And at the end of the day, when you've got a diving composition, being able to send the Seraphine Orma over the top is actually relatively high value, in my opinion. So I don't actually hate it that much. I think in lane, it's probably going to be fine, because Ezreal can't really put out that much damage to his like sort of first, second base.
Trouble, you agree?
I really dislike it here.
I
find Seraphine support to be so extremely weak. I would have rather seen her in a solo lane where she can get her item much quicker and be more relevant much quicker, because at this point, the Varus Seraphine lane is extremely gankable. One hook lands and you bring in the jungler, somebody dies. And when you have such a heavy dive composition, I would like to see something even like the Rel. The Rakan, like Jamada mentioned, something that can get people in and not care too much about the Varus. You need to facilitate it for your front line that's diving in. So we'll have to wait and see how it goes, because Seraphine is a little bit questionable for me.
Okay, bit contentious there, that Seraphine pick, but enough of us. We've got Orcs and Hitbrain left to take this last game from us. Gents, over to you.
Thank you very much. Orcs, I want your thoughts on the team comps. It seems like the Seraphine has upset our desk a little bit. What are you making of this?
You know what? I'm vibing with it. I'm actually vibing with it. I feel like, you know, you look at mid lane, you're going to be losing in priority. Gragas, he's chilling against Nocturne. You kind of need a lane to play around. And as much as there's good setup, you're not going to die 2v2 in this bot lane unless you're like absolutely trolling. And if Outlandish is playing around this bot side, Taxa shouldn't be able to get like a free gank in, is the thought process. Obviously, like there's burden of execution on this. I'm not saying this is going to be like a freebie. But like this bot lane 2v2 should just absolutely destroy Trick's bot lane 2v2. Like you're going to have priority whenever you want it. You're going to win the trades. At level 6, you have the Varus ult into the Seraphine ult. It's a really strong combo. And when it comes to team fights, you can fire that Seraphine ult down your team as they're diving in, and it'll extend and can probably hit the enemy backline. It's so long ranged. And with these like bruisers who are getting up close and personal, the value of Seraphine is quite high in terms of keeping them healthy, keeping them shielded, keeping them healed. So I actually like it. I actually rate the pick. I do think it's not like it's a free win or anything, because there's a lot of things that need to go right. But I think my concern would be if you picked something else, you wouldn't have as much a dominant lane. And that potentially leaves a window for Trick to get an advantage. Because right now, the problem with this mid matchup is Lucian is going to have like absolute priority for the early game. And when you have like Lucian, Rumble, and Lucian's in a matchup like this, Rumble's liable to take over the lane game if you don't have a strong prior lane.
That was a very interesting Mastercard Nexus insight, actually. Tricked and Kova have never played against each other in the NLC. This is their first game versus each other. So, you know, bit on the line there. Getting on the record as your first win over that team.
I don't feel like that's that uncommon, because I feel like, you know, if you didn't make playoffs last split, you just wouldn't play teams in the other group, you know?
But that's why it's nice now we got this crossplay format. It means we did get a little bit more. You know, part of me wishes we saw Fnatic XL in the group stages more than once.
Actually.
I know, but more than once, because that game, god damn did it deliver. It was brilliant.
I mean, we'll get playoffs, you know.
We'll get playoffs.
I mean, assuming we get playoffs, assuming they both make it at this point, which is looking likely, but assuming that they both get deep enough in playoffs. A lot of ifs and buffs there, Jake.
There we go. In the end.
Okay, you know how I said I like this lane?
Yeah.
Why did they leash?
They leashed, yeah. That is...
What? My mind is actually blown here. I'm so confused.
Well, we'll see how the lane plays out now that they leashed, and that is going to, you know, really affect them as we move towards that level 2 mark. You see Kova definitely trying to damage the minions, trying to get to that level 2.
They're not even going to win level 2. Like, they should be... I am actually really upset. I don't want to get this upset over this, but like, it's actually bothering me a lot. I don't understand. You're picking this lane to dominate the 2v2. That's the whole point. You should be winning this 2v2 and winning it hard. It's your main prio lane that you're playing towards. Because, I mean, I guess you have top, but like, having 2 members bot lane with prio is a lot more valuable than having 1 member in top lane when Lucian has supreme priorities we can see for mid. So you could have had this lane winning. Why is it leashing? I'm so confused. I'm here, Jake. It's upsetting.
Dan, I know it's been a long day for you, buddy. You know, you can relax after this. We'll see how this is going to go, though, because Kova, you know, now starting to bleed out a little bit in the CS department. They've also not got jungle on this side of the map either, while Tricked do. So Kova now have to be extra cautious. Now, the odds of a dive happening at this early in the game, very, very low. But even so, it's kind of that additional thing you need to play around with. And, you know, if you get a little bit too low, there is the potential for you to get jumped onto. There is the potential for you to get killed. But like you're saying, supreme domination here. Yeah,
like Viego could have started top side and path towards bot, and then your bot lane has priority and you play into that. But instead, we're seeing this scenario where, I mean, he's pathing to top side where Nocturne has priority quite comfortably, but you're really sacrificing your bot lane. And if you're picking this Seraphine in this lane, you need to be like giving resources to the bot lane, because if you leave them alone, they're just gonna get dove.
It's going to be scary. When you got that Rumble as well, once that level 6 comes in, the dive is extra terrifying. As simply, you know, down 15 CS already in this lane. This is kind of the expected outcome of Akali, though. Akali doesn't particularly win lane. She is more, you know, get a couple of items on your belt, get level 6, or at least a item under your belt. Or even components. Sorry, Akali's broken. You just get some components in level 6, and then you get kills.
Yeah, I think at level 6, that's when you can really start to like offer pressure in return in the 1v1s. That's when things turn around a little bit, but Lucian's still going to be pretty confident maintaining prio. And that's the thing, like, there's levels of priority. There's like, okay, I'm pushing you in, and there's like, okay, you're under your tower and you're crying your eyes out and you're wishing you can get out this lane. And that's kind of what Lucian's looking to do to the Akali, which is why it's so important that Outlandish has somewhere to play towards. And obviously top lane is doing pretty well so far in this matchup, but still not happy about that bot lane.
Just breathe, Orcs. Simply trying to race towards that level 6, although every time he walks up, that piercing light hits him, gets chunked, gets autoed. And this lane is going to hurt. There is actually potential kill pressure. First blood to Poulsen. Overstepping.
You had TP, you know. All I'm saying is you could have just reset and TP back in. But simply ends up going down, which kind of compounds things because now you're giving an even more significant gold lead to Poulsen. And when this happens, level 6 may not even be like a referee for you, you know. If you're this far behind, Poulsen may just continue to apply this level of pressure. And, you know, Trick, they're prio bottom mid, so why not just do the dragon? Look at the replay. I mean, simply, it's just disrespectful. You have your support there. You could back off. You could reset. You could TP back in. But instead, he's staying to contest the wave at such a low amount of HP. And actually, the misplay as well was he shrouded into E. You should have E-shrouded, right? Create the distance, throw the shroud down so you can't be autoed. But instead, he like shrouded, then E'd out of the shroud. So not really helping you at all there.
Yeah, not particularly the greatest play there by Simply. And now gonna be feeling the pressure as the Noonquiver was picked up onto Poulsen. Simply has got that killer instinct. Perfect execution, sorry. I don't know why I always get her and Kai'Sa muddled up, their ultimate names. But so far,
because they're both hypermobile, like champions who are relatively modern. I mean, I guess Kai'Sa's been around for a while now, but she still feels like one of those new broken champions, you know?
I think it's 2 years of Kai'Sa.
Yeah.
And she's kind of always had a place. There's only been a couple of times. Anyway, they're jumping in. They've got the paranoia. They're looking for the shutdown. There's the shuriken flip. They follow up. And Poulsen finds the kill as Outlander steals his form. The tower shot will be enough.
Lord.
A double kill to Poulsen. Mid's doomed. Mid is doomed.
It's over. And I'm speechless. Like, I understand the play. Lucian, no flash. But the execution, completely whiffed. Taxa has an equalizer, by the way. He's running over like, guy, I can help. Oh, never mind. You good. You good. You get 2 kills.
Simply
just Lucian's
missed
not
the
hyper-fed.
shuriken flip as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's the critical thing. So we watch this replay, jump in onto him. The shuriken misses here, so Akali's just no longer part of the fight. Tui then dies because the Lucian doesn't die quick enough. And then we also see Outlandish go down. Because again, you know, if that shuriken flip hit, if Poulsen died almost instantly, I think all 3 of them probably get out there.
And during that replay, Snormy had to burn Flash and Ignite burnt by Lucky, at least. And, you know, level 6 on the way here for these bot laners. Though Denvoxney has a pretty strong lead as far as the health bar goes and CS-wise. And I don't know what to do about mid now. How do you deal with a freeze 1 Lucian? Sure, Simply like, got a kill, but, like, he is so far away from mid at 1v1 Poulsen.
Yeah. It's really rough. And I mean, it just means that Poulsen can move around when he wants. Apply pressure anywhere on the map, really, when he looks to. And at this point, Gragas has a tier, so he's able to contest priority a little bit more in the top lane. Bot lane has just kind of not gone the direction we'd hoped in the 2v2. Trickster feeling really comfortable with this one.
I was wrong, by the way. Kai'Sa came out 3 years ago. She came out in 2018.
It's so crazy to think about that. Like,
what champion came out when you started playing?
Yasuo and Vel'Koz were the 2 around when I started. I think Yasuo was like brand new when I started playing. In, like season, I think it was like end of season 3.
Yeah, because Vel'Koz was me. Vel'Koz was the new one when I came out.
Because I remember,
because
like,
I was season 4, season 4-ish roughly was when Vel'Koz came out.
Season 4 was like my first Worlds, but season 3, like, I watched back season 3 because I was a massive Faker fan. I still am a massive Faker fanboy, but yeah, that was like my first season of playing. Ooh.
That's a nice hook into the equalizer. Tiara, you're cooked. Taxa finds the kill.
Yeah, one of the things, if you played an Enchanter support, is you're not very good at face checking in these scenarios. Good face checking.
Stunned, chained, locked down, and he finds the kill over to Snormy. As Riftiel gets summoned in the mid lane, and you thought Poulsen was accelerated in gold. He's about to get even more cash injected. 690 gold in the pocket. As first turret blood goes over to him.
It's just so doomed. I mean, you know what's the hilarious thing, Jake, is you were like, oh, we've had some banger games in the first 3. You're really hoping like yours would be like close ones. And this one's already been accelerated massively.
Although Paranoia is on, they are looking to try and find the kill on to Madly. Tatooine chasing, forces the flash out from Madly.
Maybe if you had Ignite, Tatooine, maybe that would be a kill. That's all I'm saying.
it's not as Clown Fiesta as we had, which has made me a little sad because, you know, we had some really fun games at the beginning of today. But at least Cova aren't rolling over yet.
Yeah,
because I think one of the problems we've had this split, and one of my major criticisms a lot of teams, is they just don't seem to know how to play from behind at all, and they just don't do anything. They opt into not losing anymore, so they lose everything because they just don't bother contesting. And at least we're seeing Cova contesting on plays.
And I mean, as much as mid lane's a little bit doomed, Paulson hasn't really moved around with that lead. He's kind of just been trapped in mid. It does make it very hard to make plays happen on the map, but I think you just have to wait, buy time. And we saw this, you know, in the XL game against Riddle. They fell behind pretty significantly early. They found opportunities to get a numbers advantage, particularly with TPs. And Cova have a pretty strong team fight. They have good dive. They've got good CC set up from the bot lane. But you kind of have to wait for that window. And right now, Trick really are in the driver's seat.
Yeah, and Trick were able to pick up that first dragon. This will be their second. So we'll be looking at the Mountain Soul as our final Drake. Tiara has to be a little bit careful because Lucky walking up double pink ward to go down. They spot Lucky instantly.
Now the pressure comes in. Ults are available, so dive could be a little bit finicky, but 3 members against 2, you still have to respect that. And Cova, I'm going to try and back away, but still contest to a degree. But it's just this pressure because the entire midsection of the map is like a black hole of pressure for Cova because of this Lucian. It makes it so hard to play. This is why like mid tower going down is so important for teams. But when it's down this early, it really changes how the game is played.
But Outlandish lands a stun onto Paulson, getting cooked as he uses the Heartbreaker. Almost finds the kill, to be fair. Big help from the Equalizer, actually really turning that play. And that's going to force Paulson away. Now, simply on his way over, can he find the opportunity to find some gold? As then Voxney eating poke after poke from Snormy. Snormy did have to flash, though.
Yeah, had to flash away from that hook. Could have been caught out otherwise. But, I mean, Outlandish, actually, honestly, fair play. Telling you his damage there. Nearly did find the solo kill on the Paulson, but just not quite enough there. And there was no assistance from the team coming in.
I think the crazy thing is if Outlandish had just held just a little bit longer for Simply to get in range, that would have been a shutdown to either Simply or Outlandish. I don't think there would have been any way to...
He gave him more gold, so it's an even bigger shutdown, Jake. That's the plan.
They're funneling gold onto Paulson to shut him down. I see.
Yep. That's how it works. That's the strategy.
This is the strategy my teammates employ.
Strategy you employ, Jake. Let's be honest. Let's be real here.
No, the problem is they rely on me to get the shutdown, but what they realize is I'm not good. So they give the kills over, and then I can't get the shutdown, and then we lose.
Nah, Jake, I've seen you play. You can't sit here and pretend you're not giving the shutdowns as well.
Hey, man, I'm actually quite a safe laner. Most of the time. Apart from that one game, which we won't talk about because we talk about it every goddamn time.
Yes, it's the when you played Gangplank into Galio and you're like, this is a counter matchup. This is such a good matchup, and then you just got blasted and you got solo killed. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I think you were just bringing in Smurfs. I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
I actually did get destroyed that game. I actually got so
anyway, enough reminiscing about your solo queue scenarios. Tricked over 4,000 gold up. That's never good, but this early in the game, it's very bad. And again, this sort of black hole of pressure in the middle of the map just allows Trick to do what they want. You can see the vision setup. They've moved towards the top side. Tax and Lucky moving together. And Cova can't even push up to really contest.
There's nothing they can do. They're starting to fall back and just kind of wait and collect gold, collect farm, but Simply so far away from his mythic. Well, he got the Gale Force onto Paulson. He's got the Last Whisper, and there's just going to be some plates picked up. Well, not plates, sorry. This tower getting very low to Madly, and realistically, probably just going down here. No contest coming out from the side of Cova, and now it feels like they're starting to roll over. They tried to be proactive. They tried to find plays, and every time it just bit them in the backside.
Yeah, I mean, I think this game just looks a hard one to play, and it's about having patience and waiting for the windows. Until that point, it's kind of, you know, Trick just chilling, just vibing with it, just picking up resources and applying pressure on the map. You do still have a Nocturnal, you do still have Nikali, you know, definitely things you can do, but yeah. Tell you what, Jake, what's your go-to if you're ordering Chinese? What's your go-to?
So I mean, chicken chow mein is like the kind of obvious one, but I really like the chicken satay with like the spicy peanut sauce. That's kind of that's like because like chicken satay, so chicken chow mein you'll kind of always get, or like the duck and stuff. You always kind of get that, but like as my like side dish, I always get the chicken satay. Because what happens when we order it is everyone we have like the base order, and then everyone orders their own little thing to add to the pot, and I always go for the satay.
That's fair. I'm quite big on
what is your core? That's
a good core.
Yeah, because like when you get a Chinese, you always kind of have like a core meal, and then that's how we do it. We always get like the egg fried rice, the crispy duck, and then my dad
always get crispy duck.
We always get crispy duck. We love crispy duck.
Well, I mean, I love crispy duck, but I don't always get crispy duck. But I mean, I guess I'm normally ordering for just me and my girlfriend, and not like more people. Anyway, we'll hold that. Put a pin in it.
Chains are on. Lantern's taken. Teleport's used, and kind of wasted, to be honest. They should be able to pick Dragon up. But that's the power of the Fresh, just shutting you down. There's Lucky trying to see if he can get in close, and maybe Taxa can come in for the steal. The Rift Tail gets summoned in the mid lane. Simply looking for Paulson here. Lands the Shuriken flip. Goes in with the perfect execution for the shutdown as the Paranoia is on. They're not able to find the kill. Yes, they do. The shutdown's there for Simply, and he's able to get out. Even I lost vision in that Paranoia.
Yeah, I mean, they managed to find the pick, so capitalizing somewhat, Cova finding that grouping, but they are sacrificing pressure on the map. They're about to lose their third tier 1 turret here, but they got that dragon. That's the important thing. They got that shutdown, so not over yet. Black bean sauce, pretty good. They just moved back the combo. Yeah, particularly beef with black bean sauce, I kind of rate. We don't really have a core. We kind of do.
Madly gets the belly bot. Heartseeker into the ulti. Madly able to escape. Yeah, able to escape. I've not had black bean sauce.
It's pretty good. It's quite. I feel like maybe more of an acquired taste, but I'm quite partial to it. Sweet and sour pork's also pretty good.
Yeah,
I rate lemon chicken as well.
Really
they're kind of like staples.
So like the way we do it is because we only ever get Chinese if like everyone's around. So my sister, both my sisters and their boyfriends. Yeah. And then at that point, it's like, it's a massive meal. So everyone kind of adds things. Like my sister's boyfriend really likes the, it's like the crispy beef or crispy pork on a kind of like a sticky sweet, sticky kind of spicy, sweet spicy sauce. Really nice.
I'm pretty good.
I'm so hungry right now.
So, this is why it's gone to food, because I'm so hungry about the 6-game day.
What are you eating?
Spring rolls. I rate spring rolls and
spring rolls.
My partner really loves, prawn toast.
I'm not big on prawn toast. Then
really?
Again, like, I'm not a massive seafood fan, so that's kind of the only seafood I really like, and it's an odd one, is like calamari and octopus and things.
I don't think that's an odd one. A lot of people like calamari. I think it's pretty good.
Really? Do you think that's like, if someone doesn't like seafood, would you expect them to like calamari? I feel like that's an odd one.
I think people might be put off by like the fact that it is squid, but once people try it, I think that they're pretty game, because the way it's prepared often, it's really tasty. It's really nice. It doesn't really taste like fishy or anything, so I think a lot of people are into it, even if they're not like really into seafood. But seeing an engage.
There's a Lantern to bail them out. The Chains of Corruption actually hit into the hooks as well. Teleports there. They follow up onto Madly. Equalizes down, and it's cooking everyone on Cova. The charm by Diara into the flash as they go for the special mortar jump away. Simply flashes over the wall, but Madly trying to continue the engage. Lands the slow with the barrel. Big arrow comes out from Snormy. Here's Denbox Nilo looking for the turnaround, looking for the follow-up as they find themselves too. Shuriken flip lands by Simply, but he cannot commit anymore.
Yeah, I mean, Tricked, they try and find, Cova try and find the engage on a Trick, but they're not clean enough. They don't land everything, and Tricked re-engage with force, able to clean up a lot of kills. And honestly, Cova lucky only to lose 2 in that situation. They will lose that tier 2 tower. It's a big goal lead, Jake. 7,500 right now between these two teams. Yeah. You can see it's pretty much, across the board. Jungle is only minor. But there's 1,000 gold lead support, 1,380 carry, 3,200 between mid laners, and 1,300 top. It's massive. And look at the CS from Paulson. 222 CS at 19 minutes, right? Guy's farming up a storm.
It's the power of the Fresh, though. This has been twice now where Cova have found themselves a really good engage, and then Landon just goes, no, you're not going to be able to find anything else here. And Cova, they need to find these picks, but, you know, when there's always a fresh in the back, it's so hard to kind of pull back this gold. They need to find the towers, but when you overstep, you can get engaged on from a fair amount of range and fairly non-committal with the equalizer, so they're not able to get any of this lock gold thanks to the towers. And it just feels like Cova now starting to simmer out. They've had a little bit of fire, but it's just not enough. And Madly, this is a tanky Gragas build. This isn't the AP one.
Yeah, it's so hard to take out these targets. Lucian and Ezreal so safe, and then there's the peel, there's a disruption from the team. The composition of Tricked is very good at dealing with dive, and because they're so far ahead, Tricked can just play aggressive. They're not really too concerned. Now, Cova trying to posture for this one, but I don't think you really have a way in on this dragon. And the thing is, if this comp of Tricked get the Mountain Soul, it makes it even harder for these backline divers when you're already so far behind.
And Simply trying to fight Madly, but Madly just doing so much more damage right now.
He's got like 0 MR as well. He just doesn't care. He just doesn't care. He just doesn't take damage.
Simply just does no damage. He's got the Rift Maker, so he's got a bit of additional sustain. But I think Cova's just going to have to give this dragon up a look to try and contest the third one, as Tatooine gets chunked out pretty heavily by Denvoxney there, even with the spell shield to block some of the poke.
I mean, they want to move in, but it's so hard. And if you end up in the choke point, the equalizer is so threatening. I think they have to give this up.
Yeah, I don't think there's no point trying to contest it. That's going to be dragging over to the side of Tricked as Taxa hangs around to pick it up. Third dragon now to the side of Tricked, and they're working towards that Mountain Soul. And, you know, if Tricked was struggling to... Well, sorry, if Cova was struggling to kill Trick members before, extra magic resistance, and once that soul for the shielding comes through, it's going to be even harder to find those kills, as Paulson is going to get a bit of poke off onto Tatooine.
Yeah, I mean, but they just can't contest in this situation. Cova a little bit split here, trying to just defend mid and bot, but it just means Trick can push up, and that culling with the Sereldas. Yeah.
Yep, he's dead.
I mean, you have the slow from the culling with the Sereldas, and it's just such a threatening combo. Level 15 on Paulson, by the way, already. 2 levels over Simply, and I believe Simply is the highest level on the side of Cova. This is pretty brutal.
They talked about supports that could get played here, and I just really haven't seen what the Seraphine's going to do. Because, like you said, they picked it to try and win lane, but
you have to win
ultimately
lane.
They haven't won lane with it because they went for the leash and they've just been behind in lane all game. Massive AD carry differences as far as experience and gold goes. And then on top of that, where's your engage now? You could have picked, you know, you could have picked the Rakan, you could have put the Alistair. There was even the talk of the Galio to kind of back up this team, but instead they went for the Seraphine, and it has offered nothing to Cova.
The thing is, if you're winning lane hard, you can even have Tiara rotate towards mid, offer a bit of a reprieve for Simply so he doesn't get bullied so hard. You free up a bit of pressure mid lane, and you have an area of the map that, you know, Atlantis could play towards, but really, they did, because of that leash, and maybe some individual play as well, Trick, despite having the Ezreal, end up coming out ahead in lane. Like, you have counter pick on support. You're playing Varus into Ezreal. Cova should have been winning that lane. Like, we've seen a lot of Ezreals so far in this week of the NLC get punished because things like the Varus just have so much more laning pressure. And the fact that the Moxlane can pick this and just not be threatened is pretty crazy overall. And it's just meant they've been on the back foot since then, and obviously the failed attempts mid to shut down Paulson that backfired have just put Trick so far ahead. And the fact that you're losing mid tower so early, it just feels like it's like Trick haven't really had an opponent for a lot of the game. And now Cova trying to play catch up right now. They are posturing.
Now, if Trick do decide to start up the Baron, that is a potential place where they can get absolutely minced when you've got Tiara ulting on top. So, you know, that is a potential option for them. It is going to be really, really hard for them to find it. Oh, there they go. Miss everything. And that's it.
Yep. And now you have to kind of chill again.
And they just burnt Equalizer, which was on a short cooldown for Perfect Execution, Encore, and the Paranoia. The Equalizer is going to be up before all of those.
Yeah. And the thing is now, that's the window for Trick to start the Baron up. They have double AD carries. This is quick, but they're not even there yet. They're just so confident. The pings come out. They kind of expect us to go down, but Cova, you're really lacking tools when you're already so far behind. I think this is just gone. Atlantis
I
has
don't
to
think there's
steal.
going to be any way to contest this. Outlandish is trying to sneak around, trying to find his way in. They put a ward in the pit. Outlandish has to find the steals. The teleport's coming in. Able to force Tricked off.
Little body slam lantern. I mean, I feel like the situation there is Trick to get the TP. They don't want a 50-50. There's no reason 50-50 at this point. You're not worried about this going later. And because of the current, like, I mean, one Atlantis is actually ahead in levels, but since the changes to Smite, both Smites do 900 damage. You don't need a coin flip the game on a Baron like that when you're so far ahead. Yeah. What you should do, which they are doing, is you reset, you head over to Dragon, and Dragon isn't a 50-50. It might be in terms of smiting it, but the critical thing is, even if Kova get the Dragon, they don't get very much from it. But if Tricks get the Dragon, they obviously get the Soul. And so Kova kind of forced to contest here. But if they lose the fight, even if they get the Soul, even if they deny the Soul, it's probably going to mean Baron for Trick or maybe the game. So Kova kind of between a rock and a hard place right now.
Yeah, their back is well and truly against the wall. And, you know, I praise them for trying stuff, but now it just feels like every try they make just completely backfires. And Tatooine, I think you might be dead. Is he able to jump away? Spell shielding the cask. And Tatooine actually able to survive now, as Madly did use that cask. As simply on the flank, this could be where he needs to be, but he hasn't really got the backup of his team. Encore just about to come back up off cooldown. That could be their moment to find themselves a massive fight if they catch them all grouped up. With the Equalizer also back up, and the hook lands onto the perfect target. Stormy flashes away to safety, able to survive as Outlandish jumps in. The paranoia is on, the chain goes wide, but here is the big Encore. Simply launches into the fight as everyone just stopwatches. No one can get hit. Trick's not even getting remotely hurt here, and simply has to go for his own stopwatch, trying to find the interrupts, but the blast cone will send him packing. It is just an absolute whitewash for Trick. And Kova, you fed the mid lane and now you're paying the price.
Yeah, I mean, if there wasn't a 10k gold lead, that potentially could have been a good fight for Kova. They were in the choke point. They got a fair amount of damage down. Paulson nearly dying, but there is a 10k gold lead, you know? So I eventually just didn't end up amounting to enough. The Voxnay's so strong on the Ezreal right now. It was just a crushing victory for Trick. Tax is going to pick up the Dragon on the bot side, get that Soul. They're also going to get Baron on the other side of the map. And this is the issue, contesting that Dragon. Not easy, having to move through the jungle. And Kova end up losing out on both objectives.
I mean, they found a really good like flank as well for Simply. He was in the perfect place, but it just Snormy gets hooked. He walks up on his own and gets hooked.
Yeah, and it kind of started this fight, and you see Simply actually does a lot of damage here going in, but then Vox stays untouched. And again, the gold difference is massive. I see these low health bars. I'm like, maybe Outlandish could have had a reset there, but the gold lead's so big, then Vox stays untouched. It's like you have to perform so much infinitely better than your opponent with this much of discrepancy in the gold lead, and Kova just not able to land it.
Tatooine being equalized, being cooked, he's okay.
They are trying to fish for like a pick here, which honestly I think is the best condition.
But I don't think they can find it. They just don't have the damage. You have 2 items on Akali versus 4 items on Lucian. Level 17 to level 14. You've got it's
desperate. It's
doomed.
desperate, Jake.
It's desperate.
Doomed. Let's give them some hopium though, right? They land everything onto someone, and at least they can ruin their KDA, right? We got 3 people who haven't died yet on Tricked. Kova need to do some work.
I'm gonna be honest, mate. It's not hopium. It's nopium. There's just no hope.
Copium.
Chains come out. It's copium time. Oh god. Paranoia's on cooldown. Chains are on cooldown.
Now they're on cooldown. They can't whiff them again. So there's that.
True. There's some hope.
Always a silver lining. Bot inhibitor gone. Mid inhibitor is gonna be gone. Tricked moving over to top inhibitor. And I mean, they burn those ultimates, so it's kind of hard now. But
oh my god, Tiara! By the way, Lucian's an assassin. There's nothing. They're like what? Kova have nothing. They're out of fuel. Snormy going to get cooked up as simply trying to find the execute, but he shuriken flipped onto a minion, loses his entire health bar to the flame splitter, and he's going to get taken out as he goes in for a quick stopwatch, but it's only a fleeting hope as it'll jump away to safety. His KDA might be a little bit more intact, but his base not going to be the case. As Tricked, they squash Kova, absolutely obliterate them.
You know, I always try and look at the positives. So let's look at Tricked. Really crushing Control's victory coming out from Tricked. We see a lot of games. I mean, even the Fnatic game where, like, I look at it, I'm like, okay, you're mostly ahead, but you also had this one window. I'm like, could you have lost the... I feel like Tricked didn't have that, you know. For minute one, they had a game plan. They capitalized on it. Pulse in the mid lane, absolutely on fire. And yeah, it was clean. And it clearly showed the clear rift between these two teams.
Absolutely massive rift. Anyway, I think it's time for us to throw it over to our analyst desk. It's been a long day, so let's let them round it out. Initialize, over to you.